Then John McClain went on the Fan in D.C. and said 5 teams? What? Only 5 teams have called the Texans about Deshaun. And, of course, the reason they had him on in Washington, D.C. was to ask if the football team was one of those squads. And he said no. John McClain said Washington had not called the Texans and left a voicemail because they're not answering or returning any phone calls. So I found it surprising. 1, Washington didn't, and 2, there were only 5 teams. That's insane to me. That's crazy. I thought there was a report that a third of the league had already called.
That is very surprising to me. I figured, yeah, because we were thinking about this earlier, just writing some team names down, and we came up with like 10 teams off the top of our head that would want interest in them. Carolina, Miami, Chicago, Indy, Denver, San Fran, New Orleans, New England, the Jets, maybe San Francisco, Seattle. I mean, there's a ton of teams that might be interested in him. Yeah. Why stop at 5?
My only hope and possible theory is that Ron Rivera holds them back from an old school standpoint. That Ron Rivera thinks we can have a game manager. We don't need to be explosive. We're going to win with defense. That's his calling card. We're going to build it up, rely on that side of the ball. Because if Washington had Deshaun Watson,
oh God,
that's the instant favorite in the division. Instant favorite in the division, right?
That is without question the favorite. Now the Cowboys would be right there with a healthy Dak, right there. But Deshaun Watson he makes, theoretically, a good team great.
Yeah.
And now people are going to point to their record last year. Guys, that was a wild year. It was a wild year within the organization. He had a great year. They had a brutally tough first 5 or 6 games, and then they lost several games in the final minute where they had the ball, and he or the running back fumbled at the goal line. 2 of those were against Indy. There was another one where there was they completely butchered the 2-point conversion aspect of it against Tennessee. So there's 3 right there. Now all of a sudden 4-12, 7-9, which is far more respectable. So it's like, they were bad, but it was a dumpster fire. It was a dumpster fire of a situation.
Peter Schrager on the NFL Network pointed out the next Dak Prescott in this draft. He took it to Justin Fields. He said a 20-2 record at Ohio State, threw nearly 70 touchdown passes, all the rushing TDs, Heisman finalist. I know a lot of scouts love what he brings. I'm going to give a comp I haven't seen. I think he reminds me of Dak. Same, similar, thick kind of build, has a good arm, great legs. Don't use that against me, Troy. He can run, but he's not one of these burners. He's not a Lamar. He's not a Deshaun. He's 6'4", 228, not one of these speedsters, more like a Cam Dak that physically uses his legs to get to the next play. And if Dalton Miller's working, I know it's the birthday, I believe, of Carter this week. Carter Freeman, happy birthday. But Dalton, you can text or not whether you think the Dak Justin Fields comp is a good one. But that was Peter Schrager, NFL Network, comparing Justin Fields to our guy.
All right. Thank God someone is not comparing him to a Hall of Famer. Like we need to stop putting these Trevor Lawrence. Stop.
You can have traits. I told you this last week. It's your fault and it's our fault that we don't listen to the comp. These comps come out with traits. If this guy has the arm of Patrick Mahomes, then maybe he can throw it as far or as hard as Patrick Mahomes. It's our screw up when we say he's going to be as good as Patrick Mahomes. Or if this guy has the accuracy of Drew Brees, they said that about Tua, that tells me that Tua, his greatest attribute, is accuracy. Not that he's going to be Drew Brees. We, as fans in the media, always take it and twist it and screw that up.
But we don't. But that's the problem. Like say, too often, it's just they say his comp is this, not his arm is this and his mind is this. Now they said that with Trevor Lawrence to their credit, but when they just say his comp, what's his best comp? That's where you lose me. Oh, his best
say
comp.
It and then say why.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair.
I told you, Joe Burrow had some. He reminded me of Tom Brady a little bit. with the likability on the surface, but he feels like an undercover killer. Doesn't blow you away physically, but puts up these crazy numbers. So I was like, there's a little bit of Tom Brady. Not that Joe Burrow is going to win 6 rings or that Joe Burrow is going to be the greatest of all time. Just like in terms of his makeup and his demeanor, it reminded me of Tom Brady's personality a little bit.
That's fair.
That's all.
That's fair. That's fair. I'm happy when they don't overshoot on just the generic comp.